Htp family. Today on the Pro-Black Perspective on KWAC Radio, we're going to go over Lesson 10 of the course on African philosophy by Marcus Garvey. You may also know this book as Message to the People, and I am Onitaset Kumat, the author of the Book of Power, the author of the Pro-Black Compendium, and the author of Zuberi and the Ruins of Ma'ah. Welcome. We're going to talk about economy, and we're going to jump right into it. All right. There are several kinds of economy, but this subject deals specifically with financial economy. All right. Economy is based upon good and sane judgment. The practice of it is that you must always be on the safe side of your bargains or your dealings. Never exhaust yourself. Always have a reserve. So this is just fundamental. You know, you have to have a reserve. Always have a reserve. Okay? Remember that. There should always be something left over that you may fall back on in time of need. And look, the global pandemic, riots, all that stuff, you know, you have to understand this is important, you know? Always have something to fall back on in times of need. Because there's going to be a time of need. You know, it's better to have and not need than to need and not have. And you will at some point need, so you better have it. All right, let's keep going. Money is the prop of life in that it pays for all necessities and offers security for all opportunities. This is important too. So a long time ago, here's how the conscious community is one of the most interesting communities on the planet, I believe. Okay? It's one of the most interesting communities because I'm slowly beginning to see, you know what, it might be some grand illusion. But when I first came in, I was kind of like, I don't want to deal with, like, money is not my thing. I'm not looking for money. Money's not blah, blah, blah. But you have to understand, money is the prop of life, especially if you're in a financial economy, as this is saying. You know, as Garvey is saying, if you're in a money-based economy, understand that means that money is the prop of life and you should get your money. You know? Somebody was making fun of me. I said, like basically there's this video of this Nigerian guy who's like, the only thing better than money is more money. You know, and they were like, that's me. That's not necessarily me, but for real, it pays for all necessities. So if you need any necessities, that's what money's for. You see what I'm saying? Like, I could eat today because I have money. Okay? And it offers security for opportunities. I can't go to Africa without money. More or less. You understand? Or whoever, or if somehow I got to Africa without money, I pretty much have to use money somehow, or somebody has to use money somehow. So this is generally what's going on. You know, you have to have money to get your necessities. You have to have money to secure opportunities. And remember, this life is about securing opportunities. Okay? Because the reality is that if you don't have this Pan-African nation yet, you do not have this Pan-African nation. Because you do not have this Pan-African nation, you must have money to get that opportunity to get that nation. That's it. So in earning money, one should never spend as much money as he earns. That is bad business. Now, obviously, you could take out the gender neutrality, he or she, but don't worry about it right now. That is bad business. Okay, so whatever his earning capacity, he should always be thrifty enough to save at least 15 to 20% of his income, storing it up for making better opportunities when they come and providing for a rainy day. Right? Rainy day just means, when you need it. Right? Sunny day is a good day. Rainy day is not a good day. Although rain is obviously a good thing, like a very good thing. You can't eat without rain. All right. If you spend all you earn, you are on the edge of bankruptcy all the time. If you spend more than you earn, you are not only a fool, but you are a very dishonest person, and you are bound to suffer without any other chance. Therefore, always make it a policy to save out of your earnings, never mind how small it is. Now, I told you that people owe me money. The reason why they owe me money is because they were dishonest, and that's how it is. That's how life is. So if you have better commercial ideas than your present job calls for and your present remuneration warrants, then save out of your present earnings to take advantage of the opportunity to improve yourself within a reasonable time in achieving these ideas. So this is important too. So Garvey's saying, look, if you have a good idea, if you have a good business idea, then go for it. Except don't quit your day job. Give yourself a reasonable time period to see whether that side hustle is as good as you think it is. Because if it isn't, if you quit your day job and it isn't as good, you will just suffer. You see what I'm saying? Now, if it is as good, you give yourself a reasonable timetable. You say, okay, in a year, if I can make X, Y, Z amount of money. Like if I can make half of my normal income in a year doing this side hustle, right? Then obviously I can go full time with that side hustle, make it my full hustle, if you will, and then I could probably be making like quadruple or something. You know what I mean? Like you have to set yourself a reasonable timetable and with a reasonable results. And if you do that, then do that. And so this is the solution. This is something you run it like this is how I want you to do. I want you to run this stuff by other people. You're getting wisdom. I want you to run it by other people so that they can run to the wisdom as well. So that they can go see the wisdom. Because there's so much wisdom. A lot of times people will have these concerns. Hey guys, you think I should quit my job? Hey guys, you think or some people will say, hey, I quit my job, blah, blah, blah. And then somebody else might be like, oh man, that sounds good. You're selling hair now or something. Like, you're selling hair products and now you make so much money. Maybe I should do the same thing. No. Give yourself a reasonable timetable. Don't jump. Don't burn bridges. I mean, look, burn bridges if you have to. I mean, I burn bridges, sure, but burn bridges if you have to. But it's ill advised, Even though I do it, I mean, I still wouldn't advise it. But I mean, of course, you're free to live your life however you want. This is just a matter of giving good advice. This is good advice. All right, let's keep going. Never engage yourself in living luxuriously when you can live ordinarily. Ultimately, you are bound to fail and be the laughingstock of your friends in the community by not being able to keep up your luxurious standard of living on a limited purse. Never buy anything for more money than you have or positively expect to have within the time limited for that purchase. Never give away money that you cannot spare. Never give away anything of value that can be turned into money except you can spare it. So this is like, advice from me. You know what I mean? Like, don't. Stop giving money out. All right. Never borrow on interest from anybody. If you can, within a reasonable time, to pay your debts. If you pay your own debts with your own money, you will save the interest for yourself that you pay to others. The moment you start paying interest to others on money borrowed, you become a slave working for somebody else. It is better to wait until you have the money yourself to do a thing before you borrow it to purchase that thing and pay interest on it. So this is tough, obviously. This is tough because, nowadays college is so expensive. Like university training is so expensive. A lot of people would advise university training. I don't anymore, obviously. But, again, you can live your life, so whatever. University training is incredibly expensive. Especially in America. In America, it's incredibly expensive. We're talking because you have to pay for room and board, which would be like around $13,000 already, right? You have to pay for food, which is overpriced there, and that could be like $5,000 to $8,000. Like money that you don't have. This is like a 75% of the year. Right? 75% of the year you're living on a dorm and you're eating food and you're doing all that stuff. But obviously you get medical thing, you get food, you get so on and so forth, and then the instructions are like $30,000. I advise people, get yourself, like if you're black, hopefully, right? Get yourself a scholarship. Get yourself a full ride. Like the best thing you can do as a young black person is go for a full ride scholarship. What you advise black people to do is go for a full ride scholarship. Wherever they can go, just advise that they get a full ride scholarship. You can even repeat it with me. Full ride scholarship. You do not want to pay out of your pocket for school because You cannot afford it. You're a child. Or you're a young person. And unless your parents are well-to-do, unless your parents were saving up $160,000. They just had $160,000 just sitting around. Or even, let's say, if it comes up to $50,000. So 50 times 4, 20,000. Sorry, 200,000. If they had $200,000 sitting around, it would still be a big waste of time. Imagine this: if your parents somehow, or if a parent of a child had $200,000 sitting around, they could give it to you for your university training. And again, like a university degree is not going to get you no big income because it's just a university degree. You'd want either a master's degree or a PhD. I mean, with some exceptions. Some exceptions, obviously, engineering, maybe, right? But the idea is this: if they had $200,000 sitting around, wouldn't it just be better if they just gave you $200,000? You understand? And you still get the education. So what you want to do is you want to tell young people, apply yourself in high school or whatever to get the full ride scholarship. You understand? Get the full ride scholarship and you're good. Otherwise, yeah, that's pretty much it. You know, like some people cannot help but get debt. And the thing with debt is that when you have debt, it makes it like you become a slave. So a lot of black people are in debt. Like, you have to work off your debt. Otherwise, you know, there are many consequences. Like regardless of what you may think, you know, there are debt collectors. There are people who can take from your income if you have an income. There's so much you could probably be barred from leaving. You know, there's so much that can be done. Now, obviously, you could, quote unquote, just dip. You know, you could just get the thing. But then what if your degree is like your degree, like for instance, the institution that you get a degree from can say, we're not going to release your transcript if you owe us money. Therefore, you would have gone to school and you would have racked up a bill. You would have racked up some debt, and then you can no longer even like the degree is meaningless in the sense that you can't prove it. There's so much around this. The main thing is obviously we build our own universities. Obviously, we build our own universities, but outside of that, if you're going to go to the Wazungu system, try to do it where you are debt free. Like, that's the main thing. A lot of times people will say, hey, you know, should I go to this school or that school? Go to the school with the better financial package. Go to the school with the best financial package. And the better financial package and the best one you could get is, you know, debt free. All right, let's keep going. At the same time, you must use good judgment to find out whether it is to your advantage to seek an opportunity of doing something big with somebody else's money, even with interest to be paid. And this is pretty much it. You know, this is pretty much the college situation, but also the investment situation. You know, if you have a good idea, you can't afford it, you can use somebody else's money. So you must decide if that particular business will positively bring enough to meet the interest and give you sufficient profit to justify the risk you take in assuming the responsibility of paying interest to others may be of value. So the example being, let's say you can get a piece of land. Now, let me give you guys a business idea, right? And I told you about this before. All right, corn. You take corn. There are parts of corn that you can make popcorn with. There are parts of corn you can make flour with, if you will, right? Maybe they're the same parts. Who cares? The point being, though, is that you have like a corn farm. You start up a corn farm. You get the land. Start up a corn farm, and you make bags of potato. You make bags of chips, like tortilla chips or whatever, and you make bags of popcorn, and you can sell it, and you can make a whole bunch of money. Right, if you sell it to the right places, the right like if certain grocery stores or certain distributors buy your corn product or whatever, you're in the bank. Okay, so but suppose you don't have enough money to get the land, get the farm hands, get the like the trucks to distribute whatever. You don't have enough money, then that's where the question comes in. Do you borrow Do you borrow money in order to pay for all these things in order to get that stream of income? But the only question is, how certain are you that you have a solid business plan? How connected are you? How open is the market that you're looking for? These are the things you want to research. Preparing beforehand is really the difference and the key. And then you take the risk, And this is why I don't really hate on people. People. I don't hate on people with money a lot of times, because sometimes they have taken the risk. A lot of people who do not take the risk. It's like with regard to like I'll just skip on this topic. But what I'm saying is that a lot of people take risk, and then we like, oh my gosh, you're evil and rich and blah 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 blah. And it's like, yeah, but I took the risk. It's upon you to take risk at the end of the day. Otherwise, and not necessarily, go against others who might have taken a risk. And you might say, well, they got their money, blah blah blah. Yeah, but you still have to take a risk. Because the money to buy the land before you get this farm, before you get this corn, this popcorn and corn chip enterprise off the ground, like that money would have made you good. But you take the risk to make it even better, and that's really important. That's a really important word. Moving forward as we look at Africa and so on and so forth. Because even with that, to travel to Africa, I would have to spend I want to say several $1,000s. But I could also just not travel to Africa and keep the several $1,000s, several $1,000s, and eat some pretty good food over here. Well, not good food, but the point being that you have to take risk in all you do. You have to take risk, and if you're taking risks, that's where the rewards come in. There are people who want to be rewarded without taking any risk, and that's kind of like, it's kind of not. You know what I'm saying? But let's keep going. The moment you are loaned money on interest to do anything, the person loaning you the money must be credited as being wise enough to know beforehand if more money can be made out of the thing or investment than only the interest. If it is so, it is likely that he himself will go into business and not give you the chance to go into it with his money. He may be a friend and want to help you, but few money lenders are friends. They are lending for usury and have no souls. At least their souls are bad. So be careful in borrowing money to go into business. So this is a pretty interesting thing. So the idea is this, that if somebody's going to loan you money, they know you're going to, they would only loan it if they think you have good credit. If they think that you can actually do what you're doing. And this is a large part of quote unquote racism, as we know it in America or wherever in the West, right? Where people say, hey, we were denied bank loans. And it's partly, but a part of the why somebody would deny you a bank loan is, for a business idea, like a business loan, is them not really having faith in your ability to stay afloat and stay in business. And part of that could be a racial bias. But part of it also could be, a lot of times there's a racial bias, and you have to realize at some point, why shouldn't another people have a racial bias against you? You know what I mean? Why should another people have confidence that you can execute the business idea that you came up with? Especially when they may say, hey, you know what? I prefer the way I prefer how things are already going. Things are already going in the way how things are going right now, I kind of already like. So if I already like this way, this rich white person wants to do this, so on and so forth, then why am I sending it to you because you want to improve your life, or you want to improve the life of the people around you? That's not the concern I have with my money. A large part of you go back to that other essay, regarding or the other speech regarding racism, and it's like a large part of quote unquote racism is group economics and people in their own group saying, you know what, I really just want to improve my community. Like, I have money to improve my community, and I know you want some of my money to improve your community, but that's not in my interest. You know, and it's a sad fact. It's a sad fact or it's a sad way to look at things. You know, but it's closer to reality than this other idea of like everybody's just trying to improve your community. You know what I mean? Like that's not even realistic. All right, let's keep going. It is better you save and wait until you are able to go into business on your own account before you take the risk. It is bad business to go into business without enough capital to run that business. 99 cases out of 100 will fail. So look at that. If you don't have enough capital to run a business, it'll fail 99% of the time. Okay? 99% of the time. Let's keep going. Always consider costs before you go into anything. And in figuring out the cost, be sure that there is a margin of profit before you do the thing. Otherwise, it is not worthwhile doing. Profit is the main thing. Profit. If you are going to address the meeting 100 miles away, first count the cost of railroad fare or transportation to and from, the cost of the meeting, your living expenses while going and staying at the meeting, and returning from the meeting, the percentage to pay those who are looking after the meeting, and the prospect of getting a crowd large enough that will meet all these expenses and leave you with a profit of at least 25%. If there is no profit in it, you are taking a risk, and when you are finished, you will be sorry you went. So again, you have to be profit oriented. This is something that we don't like. This is why Garvey is so excellent, because, like I said, all right, we go into the Black Panther. The Black Panther model was, we're going to pretty much do things for free. We're going to feed people for free. We're going to so on and so forth. I heard a story of, I told you guys about him yesterday. I think it was it Bobby Hutton? It was Fred Hampton. Fred Hampton Jr. was one time speaking, and he was telling us about his father, who was the one who was gunned down in his home. And it was, he's saying that before he was gunned down, right, they were feeding kids, for free, and they were doing that, so on and so forth. And even though they were feeding kids for free, they themselves did not have food. You understand? So they're feeding the community, they're doing good community work, so on and so forth, but their own family it's an unsustainable model. It was an unsustainable model. And like, that's something that Garvey is saying, don't do that. When I was doing the African blood siblings, what I said was that you have to, organization has to benefit its membership. Otherwise, it's misorganization. You get into organization to benefit your organization. Like you to benefit the members of your organization foremost. You get into business to benefit the risk takers foremost. If you are getting into business or an organization without benefiting those organizing or those business people foremost, you done messed up, because it's unsustainable. Because essentially what you're doing is you're working for free. You are making yourself a slave. That is ridiculous. Obviously there is that higher purpose. So you could say, oh, I'll cut down on the profit, but don't cut out the profit. Because imagine, again, if your kids are starving and you're feeding other kids, right? That's backwards. And sure, you say, hey, other kids need to eat. And yeah, I agree. Other kids do need to eat. However, if you can make it profitable, if you can make it so that your kids are eating well, right? Your kids are eating well, then sure, feed the other kids. But if your kids are not eating well, it's like you done messed up. You understand? You done messed up. Let's keep going. Always work out beforehand the possible financial results of every transaction, and be sure that your arrangements are of such as to bring profit at the end. Otherwise, you are wasting time. Okay? As far as UNIA is concerned, you should always calculate for profit for the association in everything you do. Profit comes in many ways to the association. For instance, if you go to address a meeting 100 miles away, profit will come by new members joining the association, the establishing of agencies theirs for the association. Leaving behind the sentiment of the association may be an advantage to any money you receive for the expense of the meeting. As long as you have converted and attached someone permanently to the UNIA, that may be considered as profit. So that's another way to look at profit too. You know, like this is another way to look at. So technically, like we go back to the example of the BPP. Okay, so you feed these kids and they're just starving, whatever. But at least you have converts to the BPP. That's what he's saying, and that's agreeable to an extent. Okay, to an extent. But that's one way to look at it. Now imagine if you're just feeding, because there was actually another brother who was doing an organization, and I think it's NBUF, matter of fact, National Black United Front. I came to a few of those meetings, and he's like, look, we're just gonna FTP, feed the people, right? We're just gonna feed the people straight up. I don't even know if they were putting literature. They were just feeding people, like canned food, getting that. It's good. It's good, but you know. Or even I was a part of another organization where we were just gonna clean the freaking streets. Like they literally had me walking around with a bag, picking up debris and dirt. And I mean, yeah, I wore all black. We all wore all black, so that people could know, hey, you know, like if they were to ask questions. But for the most part, we were just straight up cleaning the streets, which is, you know, like. You know, like you have to see, like there has to be some sort of profit, and you have to calculate for real, like where the profit is. Like you have to calculate where the profit is. So even right here, when I'm reading message to the people, I'm saying to yourself, I'm saying, well, look, at least I got to put my book out there. You know what I'm saying? At least I get to put my book out there, right? Or at least I get people reading Garvey. You know, to just do it is all right, but again, like. You know, working for free, like I said, my ancestors were Maroons. Okay? A lot of my ancestors were Maroons. Working for free is not what we do. You know what I'm saying? You know, Garvey, matter of fact, his might have been his father, was Maroon too. Working for free is not what we do. Okay? You know what I mean? Like, we don't do that. We'd rather look, whoever want to work us for free, we fight them. That's it. Anyway, let's see. And actually, on that note, I'm gonna do you my ad. On that note, I'll do nothing for free. I'm gonna do my ad. All right, let's go. Okay, so I know books. Alright, so let me tell you about a book. Check it. Woo! Right, check it. So the goal and objective is to be selective, electing for knowledge with the black directive, checking sources, heritage, and legacies, with the brilliance to defeat our nemesis. The book of power, so aptly named, esteemed and famed for informing the brain, and doing the same as the ancestors before us. Sankofa, that's the life chorus. Wisdom is the key against dangers. Either change the leaders or lead the changes. We are due in Africa with no strangers. Do you hear us? Okay, hold on. We can't continue to read the second fiddle. African power is the end of this riddle. Let's build a nation the likes which never existed. The motto heretofore, we persisted. Better, we resisted. Best, we building. We'll raise the roof and break through the ceiling. Peeling away the chains we were given to stop just surviving, start thriving and living. Africa's about to host superpowers. China and US back up in time hours. No one can be free without freeing themselves. But freedom is shown and owned on bookshelves. The book of power, a key for liberation. There's no domination where there's education, because ignorance is man's main weakness. All are exploited if we don't teach this. Within the pages of sages, kings and queens, Akompong, Delaney, Dessalines, Nyere, Garvey and Zinga and Cooks. 500 pages surpassing most books. The task is told to bring up a continent. You will hold the tone for the confident. Have some pride and push forward your chest. Your leaders by reading one of the best.
The book of science covers violence, self-reliance, and does away with silence. The time has come for the work to get done and build up a land that was second to none. We'll organize, technologize, strategize a new Africa before our eyes, and blackness will be the complexion we see anytime we envision what it means to be free. So come join minds, read what is written. Here be solutions, no longer hidden. Nothing works in theory, all that works, works and works. So it's time to put ourselves first. Change the leaders and lead the changes. Tell your friends, family, and neighbors. Change the leaders and lead the changes. Tell your friends, family, and neighbors. Change the leaders and lead the changes. Tell your friends, family, and neighbors. Change the leaders and lead the changes. Book of Power. So the Book of Power can be purchased on Amazon. Just click on the link below. Alright, send me a little tap. Tulende ma'at, tushende is fat. Tulende ma'at, tushende is fat. Tulende ma'at, tushende is fat. Oh, tap.
Alright, thanks family. Alright, so we're gonna go back to this thing. I just looking at the news, making sure that the lights is on. Let me just, I'm about to post something on the Discord. Don't forget the Discord. Discord is there. We got a conspiracy theory channel. I'm about to post something in it. Yeah. And you know, hopefully generate some conversation around that. But yeah, so don't forget that. And that's what I'm saying. You have to seek profit in everything you do. So that's what it is. Like, profit for me can also be you joining a Discord. So, you know, give me some of that profit. All right, let's keep going. All right, always seek to get some profit. Otherwise, your work is a failure. Okay? And that's what I'm saying. Like, this is how I feel in regards to like my book sales. Like, I'd be like, shit, like I mean, the thing is this: if I read my book, I say, dang, some good stuff. But if I look at the balance sheet, you know what I mean? I'm like, like, was it good? I don't know. All right, let's keep going. When your work is to be judged, you will find out a balance sheet of how much you have received and how much you have dispersed as a representative of the association, how much net you have turned into the movement, and how much morally you have helped the movement will be called for. If your balance sheet shows that for 1 month, 3 months, 6 months, or 1 year you have not added anything net to the association, your importance in it is nil. You will not account for much. Your status will be far below that of others who have been more valuable to the movement. So this is so he's talking about if you're a black leader, okay? You're a black leader in an organization, okay? So let's say an organization is divided up into different, you know, into leaders and followers, if you will. Like, basically the membership. The membership has certain higher ups, you know, and this is like happens in everything in a nation, whatever kind of organization you're a part of. You have a balance sheet. You have a balance sheet. That is how much you have received, how much you have dispersed as a representative of the association, how much net you have turned into the movement. And the thing is this: your net, your balance sheet is going to be compared against another person. Like, to this day, I praise those people. One of my friends was asking me why I praise a particular friend, another person, and it's like, I praise these people because they have good balance sheets. And until you have a good balance sheet, you know, like, I'm not like, you know, like for instance, throughout this lesson, I would bring up Wanda. Why am I bringing up Wanda? Because she has a good balance sheet of showing up, commenting. That's it. Like that's a good balance sheet. You understand? Or like whomever. I don't even want to go down the list. What I'm saying is, whomever, they have a good balance sheet. That's what they are worth. You have to say to yourself, how can I have a good balance sheet in whatever organization I'm a part of, or in whatever I'm doing? Okay? That's what it accounts for. You know, because at the end of the day, we are on this planet, right? We're on this planet, and we can give and receive, you know? And if people are giving to you, you should give back. You know what I'm saying? If people are giving to you, they should receive from you. Because it's about reciprocity. You understand? It's about reciprocity. And that's what the balance sheet's about. The balance sheet is, where is the reciprocity? You know, if Garvey makes the UNIA and he's running this massive organization, right? And then in the example of the UNIA, he's paying them, you know? So he's paying you, and then you don't got nothing to show for it. Where's the reciprocity? Or even, you know, he gives you a platform to express your ideas, express yourself, and be a leader in the community. He gives you this platform. What are you giving back? What is he receiving from you? Why does he have you up there? That's the big question. But we're gonna keep going. We're gonna keep going. A president or representative who can show that for the year he or she has turned over $500, $1,000, or $10,000 net to the association occupies a position of eminence that calls for the greatest recognition of service rendered. Another president or representative may occupy no such position of recognition because of his failure. Men and women are promoted on their record. This is in life. Men and women are promoted on their record. A lot of people want to promote people based off their opinion. Don't promote people based off of their opinions. Opinions change. There's a woman I bumped into. One of those radical women. Radical, like, you know, oh man, blah, 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 blah. Right? I bump into her. Some white boy walks up on us. And I'm like, who is this white boy? Why is he so close to me? He uncomfortable, I'm uncomfortable. Come to find out, I just bumped into this woman off her date. She was dating this white boy. And he was just like checking to see if the bus was coming or something like that. But her opinion, you know, 2 years earlier was, yeah, white people are so blah, blah, blah. They're so bad. Why are they so blah, blah, blah? Don't worry about, look at records. You know, the issue is that you get caught up in, like my record, for instance, is I wrote books. Now you might be like, oh, well, that's just an opinion. No, it's not just an opinion. This is research. This is research. This is actual doing stuff. This is producing products. Ain't no opinion. You understand? Or you could even say, hey, look, you got this podcast. There's a lot of people who will be critical of other people who are producing things that they can be critical of. Until you are producing something, don't criticize anything. It's like I saw this video the other day. This white boy decided to run around like he used to run like one of them loops. He like ran around a loop, like straight up ran. You know, at some point he's upside down running around a loop, and it was a tiny loop, but still, it was like, what the fuck are you doing, right? But the point is that it might look easy, right? But until you do it, like, shut up. Or even like a slam, like dunking. At my height, people shorter than me can dunk. Okay, people shorter than me can dunk, but it still take a lot of hops. Okay, take a lot of hops, a lot of practice. Okay, you could look at it. It's a simple task. Just jump up, arm extended, touch. You know, put the ball over the. You know, it's really simple if you look at it. But it don't just look at something. Do it. Get up. It's your record. It's your record. And see, one of the records I have is how many views I got. How many views this video got? How many times do I see it in social media? You know, sometimes I'm on social media and somebody says, oh, you know, this is what Oni did. Or, hey, look at this, you know, blah, blah, blah. Thanks, Oni, for this. Or, yo, you should watch this video. But it's very rare. It's very rare. You know, I sometimes when it happens, I'm like, oh, this happens? You should be doing that. That's your record. Anyway, let's keep going. Their record must be profitable. If their record is that of failure, they remain failures until they can prove otherwise. There is no other standard by which you can judge the ability of man. Always seek to get substantial value for their work, because you will never be able to recall them as they move along. You see? Whenever you want to sell anything, unless you meet somebody who is badly in need of that thing, you are always going to be offered less than the value of the thing. So that's my thing. You know? Basically, Garvey's saying I gotta reduce the price of my book. Look, I tried reducing the price of my book. Y'all still wasn't interested. I don't know what to do with regard to that. I mean, I can't even, I'm not even going to go into that. But basically, it ain't even that. I mean, like he says, unless somebody is badly in need of it. Like, the thing is this, that it's like you don't know you don't know. That's the problem. You don't even know you don't. Like, a lot of our people don't know we don't know. And there's an ancient African poem that goes along. Like, I might have to pull that out. I might have to pull out the ancient African poem. But, that's one of the problems that we run into. Let me see if I can actually find it. I think it was Plato. Alright, so I'm going to actually pull out this poem because this is actually pretty interesting. Like, to not know one does not know is pretty dang interesting. So we're going to switch to the internet. This is my website, africanbloodsiblings.wordpress.com. You already know, if you knew. Alright, so it's how Plato. This was written in 2011. See, that's what I'm talking about, record. This is a record, not everybody can say, oh yeah, I've been writing articles since 2011. Okay? But look, this is the ancient African poem. A person who knows, I think I have this in the pro-black compendium. That's what I'm saying. You don't even know. But let's keep going. A person who knows not and knows not that they know not is foolish. Disregard them. See that? This is the ancient African ancestors saying, look, if you don't know that you don't know, you're foolish. And I should disregard you. A person who knows not and knows that they know not is simple. Teach them. So what I'm saying is that, so it's like, if you know that you don't know, then yeah, I'll teach you. You understand? You know what I mean? And that's what this book is about. This book is like, you don't know power. Okay? You don't know power. So that's why I'm going to teach you. A person who knows not and believes that they know is dangerous. Avoid them. And that's another trouble. So a lot of our people are like, we don't know power, but we believe we know. That's why I gotta avoid black folk these days. You understand? I gotta avoid us. You understand? I gotta avoid us. Let's keep going. A person who knows and knows that they know is asleep. No, and knows not that they know is asleep. Awaken them. So that's another thing here too. That some people know, but don't even know they know. Don't even know that they know. And that's what you call the sleep. So you awaken them. And that's, again, like I said, that's the book. And a person who knows and knows that they know is wise. You understand? So if you know power and you know that you know power, that person is wise. So you follow them. Again, that's what the book is for. But here's how the poem ends. All of these persons reside in you. Know thyself, and to Ma'at be true. So all of these people are in you. So some of you are like, wait, why are you talking about? No, all of these people are in you. Okay? But you have to know yourself. And to Ma'at be true. And this was obviously from the article How Plato Insults Every European. This is back when I used to capitalize European. But Plato, look at that. Plato used to say to his ancient Greeks, know thyself. That's a big, like, if you look at the word know, if you look up the phrase know thyself, you'll see it's attributed to Plato, Socrates. Meanwhile, this is the freaking poem before he even came to Africa. Anyway, y'all listen? Alright, let's go back. Alright. So unless you are all, the value. So never buy anything. Alright, so look at it. So unless you meet somebody who is badly in need of the thing, you're always going to be offered less than the value of the thing. So some of us don't even know we don't know. Like I said, it's dangerous. But keep going. So never buy anything for its full value, otherwise you will have it at a loss. Okay? It is better to buy things for cash or in the short term rather than on long term. A long-term purchase, and this is like loans again. Like sometimes loans, like school loans, they're like 20-year loans or like 30-year loans. And then the same with like mortgages. A lot of these things you can't pay out of your pocket, so you have to take long-term, and you end up like paying 3 times the amount. the amount. 3 times, 4 times the amount over time. But let's keep going. It is better to buy things for cash short term. A long-term purchase carries a greater percentage of interest on the purchase. Something that you purchase on terms can be bought at almost half the price if bought for cash, because people are also anxious to sell for cash, even though they make a sacrifice of the thing, because they want the cash. When you buy on terms, you must bear the burden, not the seller. When you buy for cash, the seller bears a burden in the loss to get cash. Always have cash, and bargains will always show up. If you have no cash, when you see bargains and want them, you pay twice the price for them when you buy them on terms. So, and this is like something that's, this is reality. There's this show, for instance. I was watching this show on like flipping houses, because I was, at the time dating this woman who liked that kind of stuff. And I looked over my shoulder, and she was doing it right. Anyway, so homes will be listed for sale, and then the home buyer would say, "Hey, I want to buy it for less, like let's say $20,000 less, right? $30,000 less, whatever, and I'll pay you cash tomorrow." Right now, this person listed the home for like a month. They ain't seeing no returns, and then somebody says, "Hey, $20,000 for $30,000 less." You can get it right now. Okay. That's it. And yeah, they take the loss, sure, but they also get the bulk of it. They get like 99% of the money. You understand? Or 95% of the money that they wanted. You know, but this is when you get into, like, you already know how it go. You already know how it go. So I mean, if you don't know about bartering, about having cash on hand, if you don't know about that, then me reading it to you ain't gonna tell you nothing. Me give you another example ain't gonna tell you nothing. But if you're already in that life, you already know. Okay, you already know. And Garvey's letting you know, just repeating it. So never live above your income. Never live up to your income. Never assume responsibility when you are not prepared for it. It will burden you down. Never marry broke. Never marry before you are ready. Never allow anybody to force you to do anything against your will. So this is actually something I gotta, never marry before you, like sometimes, you say to yourself, well, that's what I'm saying. I think I got married before I was ready, right? I might have been a little broke too, but but I think I was married before I was ready. And that's something. The only question is, how ready would I be again? That's a big question. A lot of people, like, that's something you have to answer for yourself. How ready are you? Having been married, I kind of understand it more. You understand? I understand it more, but I also like, in a sense, you kind of want to get your pockets really good. You want your income pretty damn good before you get married. And this is something that because people are going to ask you. Like, this is good life advice. Like, if you're in the leadership of an organization, people may come to you with their personal problems. Now, you can easily be like, "Hey," you could do that joke, "Hey, sorry, this is a Wendy's," whatever, right? Or you could just be like, "Look, real talk," or, you could be an organization and be like, "Hey, look, we're trying to secure, whatever we're trying to secure." Like, let's say you're saying you want political prisoners out, you want whatever. Right? The reality is that sometimes you're a nice person, you're a kind person, you're a good person. People will come to you with their personal problems, and you can just say, I don't give a shit about you, if you want to, because that's weird. I mean, that's a weird way to go about life, but you can do that. Or you could just, say, here's the good advice. Marry when you're financially ready. You understand? Don't marry before you are ready. All right? And I mean, people aren't always going to listen to you. Who cares? But that's what you tell them. And like I said, speaking of what you need, in the Book of Power, we have the essay on marriage. Okay, we have the essay on marriage, basically, and of course knowing yourself and preparing yourself for marriage. So that's another asset, like, in your hands. Let's keep going. If you can see a thing and get good results from it at a cheaper price, don't pay a dearer price except you have money to throw away. This is what I do, actually. So when I went to the African market, I don't barter. I don't barter when I'm at the African market. You know, they list the price for like white folk, and I say, yeah, give me that price, because I want them to have money. Like if I go to a black business, sometimes, like for the other day, I went to a black business. It was like a restaurant. It was supposed to have. It was lunchtime. It was like 12:30, right? I wanted some lunch food. They did not have the lunch food ready. I wasn't just gonna leave empty-handed, so I got me a couple of patties, and like some weird other thing. I didn't even like it. But I said to myself, look, it's not to say I got money to throw away, but if I do throw away money, it's to black folk. You see what I'm saying? If I do throw away money, it's for black folk. That's it. Overpriced patties, way too much crust. Fine. I don't care. I step into your black business if I can afford something, and you don't even have lunch for me at lunchtime. You telling me it's gonna be ready at 12:30 to 1. It's 12:30, and you don't have no lunch for me, right? Usually I might be, I'm all good. I'm gonna get those patties, okay? Even a bottle of water, I'll get whatever. I don't care. I go into your business, you're black owned, you got a black theme going on. Here's my money. That's it. That's it. Now don't lose your head. And of course, this is what I just said. Usually you don't want to give, like, if people are Askari, you don't want to give them money. You don't want to give Askari money. Okay? You do not want to give Askari money. I didn't really see any indication that they were Askari. They could have been Askari. But so I'm not saying, hey, you got to just blindly support black businesses. No, that's not true. But all the same, that is what is considered the exception. Particularly when we get our restaurants up, or when we get, pay the price. Like I said, even when it comes to this book I have, you can like pay the price. Like, who cares? You're putting money in black hands. That's what you have money for. Like, that in and of itself is a reward. I'll be honest. That's what I do. Like I said, I got those patties. Like, I didn't even care for them. Gave 2 to my son. I mean, there was like 3 of them. I gave 2 to my son. I mean, obviously, I was getting them for him anyway. But still, like, it was like, I didn't even have to. I had to go get food elsewhere, and it was such a bunch of money that I lost. But, that, like, I had to get lunch another place, and, I just had a bunch of extra food. But at the same time, it's like, that's why you have money. Instead of handing it over to the white boy every time, or put it in the bank and hand it over to the white boy later. You know what I'm saying? like hand it, like, give some to the black people who are trying to do for us. That's it. But let's keep going. Don't lose your head in thinking that something is going to run away. Don't lose your head in thinking that something is going to run away. Therefore, you must grab it now. Following that attitude, you may find yourself to be a big fool, because when you grab here, thinking it is a wonder, you may find because what you grab here, thinking it is a wonder, you may find thrown away next door, not worth anything. Exactly. This is what a lot of people do. Always look around first. When you are in doubt, try to find a duplicate. You may come back to the first, but if a thing is in the neighborhood with one person, it is almost more likely that a similar thing is also in the same neighborhood. Search the neighborhood first before you decide to lay all your money on one thing. Now, obviously, he's talking about before internet shopping, but pretty much, yeah, go look for the cheapest option. Look for the cheapest option. I want to say this too, because it's actually a pretty interesting thing. The cheapest option is one. The blackest option is another. So, one way I want to tell you, because this is actually pretty important. So, in this day and age, if you want to get a book, right, every book has a publisher. Okay? So, what you want to do is you want to search to see if the publisher's website is still up. Okay? So, like, let's say if a book was printed by Black Classic Press, then, like, it's published by Black Classic Press, then you would go to Black Classic Press and search to see if they're still publishing that book.
If they aren't, then you look at the you see you search the book on the regular white website, and you see how many sellers that white website has. If the white website has a different seller and it's a black bookstore, then you should get it. In the case of my book, I want to say, because my book is self-published on a white website, if you will, you don't actually have to buy it elsewhere. Although I guess if a black bookstore were selling it, yeah, you could buy it there. But usually you want to buy it with the publisher, because essentially the publisher then gets the highest profit. They get the highest profit, and it might not be as quick as the white seller, if you will, but you'll get it anyway, and the black publisher will have more at their disposal to do more. You know what I mean? As opposed to not being able to do as much. So that's really what it comes down to. There's the cheapest option, there's the blackest option. Sometimes you want to go to the blackest option, if you can. If you can, if you can spare it, sure. If you can't spare it, then obviously you can't spare it. But I would tend to look into what the blackest option is. But let's keep going. Never think that one thing or that one person is the only peach in town. There may be better peaches on the tree. Try to curb your weakness for being a spendthrift. Every time you are tempted to spend 10 cents or $1 on a frivolous thing that you will not get any direct profit or return from, hold your hand, count 10 before you do the thing. Say to yourself, have I any other pressing need or use for this money better than this frivolous thing? There's always something else that you really need. Therefore, you will keep the money in your pocket. Never give your money away outside of your race. You see that? Never give your money away outside of your race. If you are called upon to give it to a Mon, ask yourself if a Mon is really going to get it. Actually, no, we're going to do the Eurasian here, but whatever, who cares? Only when you feel that it is going into a channel that a Mon will really appreciate himself should you give it. Because a Mon himself doesn't want money, but a good cause in his name may need it, and you should first find out if there is really a cause. To send a man touring around the world in the name of a Mon for his own pleasure is not giving to a Mon. To give a man more worldly goods than he has already is not giving to a Mon. To give to help carry on social service work in the community, or to help the poor of the community, or to rescue the children of the community is giving to a Mon. If you have to be critical in giving to a Mon, be even more so when you give to man. It must be for a good cause, and the nearest cause to you is the cause of your own race. Never fail to give charity where charity is needed within your own race, but don't allow yourself to be tricked. So this is actually pretty interesting. During these, there were these riots in America. During these riots, a black martial arts store was burned down. So the community, so they did a GoFundMe, and yeah, the lady was able to raise up the money requested. So she requested $100,000. By the time I saw it, was $117,000, and I personally, put in some money too. That's what you have to do. If your race needs you, you give. Okay, you give to the cause. And that's another thing altogether. Even in the case of charity, you should give. Okay, you should give. Period. Your what you should be, what people should say about you is that you're race generous. Okay, people should say, this person, I don't know your name, but I mean, you can say your name in the comments, but until I know your name, I don't know your name. But they should say, hey, that's a race generous person. They see you, that's a person generous to the black race, to the African race. That's generosity right there. Okay? If they don't say that about you, if they don't say what? You got to be generous. That's it. That's what I do too. I say, hey, look, here's some money. You know what I'm saying? Get yourself something nice. All right. If an old thing is good, don't buy a new one. All right? Don't follow fashion for fashion's sake. This is me right here all day. Y'all even know how old my clothes is. My clothes, I've been wearing my clothes. The clothes I'm wearing right now, I wore to college. You know what I'm saying? Like, I wore it to college. On my college campus, I was wearing the same damn clothes. You understand? The only reason why I started getting new clothes is because, you know, like I said, the thing is good. Like, some of them started ripping. You know what I'm saying? Like, I wear them to the bone. You know, like, even my shoes. I'm like, I don't even know if I'm not stepping on the floor. Like, I'm gonna get new shoes though. But still, I'm just saying, like, come on. Like, don't follow fashion's sake. You know, for you, follow your own judgment for intelligence sake. If nothing is wrong with your suit of clothes, don't buy a new one because someone else has done so. All it may need is attention, and so with everything. You may badly need the money later on that you may spend on a new suit. It is better to have that money than the thing, because when trouble comes, you can run with your money, but you may not be able to carry all the things. The largest sum of money can be carried in your pocketbook, while the weight of other things may cause you to wait for the next train, and by waiting you may lose. Put your values more in money than in things. Only have those things that are necessary. If you have the ambition to be great, and that's true right here, this is true. Like, on my card, if you will, I got money. You know, if I have my wallet, I got money. If like my house, like, I couldn't, like a lot of stuff I can't even, like, I could trip over the stuff. You know, I'm not saying I have a lot of stuff, but I'm just saying, like if I just left them all out, like, I have to have a whole, like, for instance, for my clothes, I have to have a whole, I mean, everybody know this, but you gotta have a whole dresser. You know what I mean? Like, but you can't run with no dresser. You understand? Now all the money in the dresser, I mean, all the clothes in the dresser might come up to, you know, some amount of money, okay? And yet all that money could fit in my wallet. Just saying. Now, of course, you want clothes in your dresser, but, you know, there's other people who have, like, a bunch of crap. You know what I'm saying? And you already know those people. So let's keep going. If you have the ambition to be greater than you are, and you don't have the means to immediately do so, then practice rigid thrift in your present position by saving as much as you can, so that in a given period of time, you will be able to change your position to reach your objective. Never consume all you have and then expect to climb higher. It cannot be done. Never go into anything in business that you know nothing about. No fool can make a success of anything. Therefore, know your business before you go into it to make a profit out of it. So, this is something that I you know, like, we have to understand. Like, yeah, this is pretty much it. Like, maybe this is telling me I gotta go read more about books, right? I probably should read more about podcasting, right? Who's thinking this thoughts, man? All right, never live on the capital of your business. You must live on the profit. So never live on the capital of your business. You must live on the profit. So there's profit and there's capital. If you start to live on the capital, there will soon be no capital and no business. If you mean to stay in that business, whatever the profit is, live only on that profit and not on all of that profit. Otherwise, the time may come when you have to live on the capital because you have made no profit for that period. Business is only successful when you are making profit and not spending all the profit. So business is only successful when you are making profit and you are not spending all of the profit. So that's how you have success in business. You have to have profit and you don't spend all the profit. So whenever an enemy or any person attempts to create prejudice against your organization with the government, take immediate steps to counteract the statement and reassure the government that you have no intention of doing anything not in keeping with the law. Always watch for this because the government can easily outlaw your organization and curtail or prevent your activities. You see, and this is what you don't understand. If you're in another nation, whatever nation you are in, that nation has power over your organization. This is why I tell you, you can't be in the West. You can't be under foreign government. When you are under foreign government, your organization is under foreign government. Like the foreign government, your organization. This is why I don't understand people complaining about black liberals. Black liberals, like, exactly what you would expect under domination. You understand? You understand? The government can outlaw your organization, and it's done this. And you said, why are you harassing me? Why are you doing so much to me? Why not? It's within their power. It's within their right. It's within their sovereignty. They are the sovereigns here, not you. The government are the sovereigns in their nation. This is why they can do whatever they want. They're the highest authority of their land. That's what being a nation is. So you women, guess why are you doing something to me? You don't understand nations. You don't understand power. The government is locking us up. That's their sovereign right that they made for themselves because they're the highest power in their land. It's what they want to do. Therefore, don't join any movement that the government is not favorably inclined to tolerate, chiefly communism. So he's talking about America. Don't join with the communists because the communist, like the government could just lock you up. You know how many black folk right now? Like there's this teacher. There's a teacher in America, in my city, New York, right? Teacher in New York. She started teaching her kids. Like she's teaching her kids low key, black pride, black self-respect. One day, the teacher goes, like she goes on, like she takes a sick day or something. So they have a substitute teacher. Substitute teacher tells the kids, "Hey, here's a play I want you guys to do, right? You guys are acting. Here's a play I want you to do," and he goes to like one of the boys and he says, "All right, you play this role." And the role is like one of them shucking and jiving roles. So the boy says, "I ain't gonna play that role because they don't give me no black self-respect. It don't make me, it's like one of them, like let's say it's one of them roles that it's not for people who have pride in themselves. You wouldn't play that kind of role, would you? Right?" White boy listens. He's like, "Huh, okay, interesting." Right? Next day, the teacher, fired. Like that's all I gotta say. So let the communists fight their own battles. Let others people carry on their own discord. Have nothing to do with them. The more they carry on discord, and by the way, this is not discord like like the chat, but although come join the discord, right? Gotta say it. All right. The more they carry on discord, and you keep away from it, the better it will be for you because by keeping your head, you will be able to see more clearly and get an advantage. Never let the government put you on the defensive. It will create prejudice against you. Keep out of court as much as you can. If possible, never go there except to do social service work to help others. Try to never be charged with a crime or be on trial. It will affect the association and affect you. So he's talking from personal experience. The UNIA went into decline after Garvey was in prison. You understand? They get into a huge decline when Garvey was deported. You understand? If you have an organization, if you have an obligation to the people, if you have some sort of stake in the community, you do not want to be in prison. You don't want to be in trial. You don't want to be in prison. You don't want any of that stuff, because that in itself will harm your chances. That will harm your chances. But let's keep going. Always try first to settle racial disputes. Always try to settle racial disputes without going to the law. Law is expensive and uncertain. And this is what I'm saying. If you're in another land, the law is on the side of the powers that be. You have to understand that the powers that be finance the law. You understand? The powers that be are the majority. Like everything is toward the benefit of the powers that be. Wherever you go in this world, everything is foremost towards the powers that be. So me and you arguing, if we're not a part of the powers that be, it's not going to be for us. Like it's not going to be towards our advantage. You understand? And they are the law. Like you have to understand who is the law in whatever land you live in. But let's keep going. By the way, I'm gonna try to stop saying let's keep going, but whatever. When you go to the law too often, you establish a bad record, and when anybody wants to know anything about you, particularly government officials, they can search the court records. See what I'm saying? You telling on yourself. And this is something that we do today. Like, the white boy knows. Like, look at this. You can read this and be like, hey, one thing you don't want to do is have a court record. Right? But what do you think? What do you think your social media posts are? What do you think those are? That's your record. Anybody can bring these stuff up. Even this right here. I could be like, let's say I appear in court. I don't like ancestors forbid. I appear in court one day, right? At some point, they could play one of these old podcasts of me talking in a courtroom, in front of the jury. Just it could be whatever I'm saying. They could just play it in the courtroom, and then I gotta be like, oh well, what I was saying. What did you see? What I was saying, right? I'm telling on myself, and not just me. And the thing is this: when you notice a lot of things I'm saying, you realize, hey, look, I don't have no sound bites. Like I try to stick away from that stuff, but you don't. A lot of our people going on like, man, blah, 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 and I think blah blah blah. And this is why sometimes some private people can bring up your record. Private people can bring up your record. What do you think public people could do? Public people who will pay other people top dollar to look into something. Who will pay private people top dollar to look into it? Private people voluntarily looking into stuff. What do you think? What do you think private people getting paid to do can find? Come on. Keep away as a defendant. Encourage the people to keep away and not waste their money in litigation if their litigation can be settled by you or any responsible representative of the race. The people pay too many fines in court. The money they pay for fines could be used for their families and their own benefit. Always counsel Negroes not to be anxious to start litigation or to prosecute each other if it can be avoided. Going to court too often gives the race a bad name and causes the government to think badly of the race. Now this is probably disagreeable, but I don't think this causes the government, or you give the like the government already had its own opinions, but whatever. Always try to impress the government that you are law-abiding citizens so that when you make a request of the government, it may respect the request. So that's an interesting thing, too. Do we have a reputation as law-abiding? That's the question. Do we have a reputation as law-abiding? Right? Are we looked upon as law-abiding citizens? That's the question. The reputation that we have is of not being law-abiding. And a lot of times, like let's say we make a request, and the request is not respected. But it's a propaganda machine against us. But it's not just a propaganda machine. The question is, it's not just a propaganda machine. It's not just a propaganda machine. Okay? But let's keep going. Always keep your good word before the government and make the government aware of it, particularly social service work, charitable work, educational work. This does not mean racial education. Your racial education is private like the Jews. Make the government aware of all public education tending towards good citizenship. It should prominently be brought to the attention of the government. So again, there's the private and public works. If you're in wherever government you are in, whether it's a hostile one or not, you want to show off the good public works. You want to show it off. Now, I personally don't really care to show it off to the American government, but I understand what Garvey's saying here. Like me personally, I'm like, just get out. Just get out. It's a lost cause here. It's a lost cause in the West. But let's say if there's a dictator in Africa or whatever, and you have a super school. You have a good school. You have an excellent school, and not even like racial education excellent, like fundamentals. You bring up the literacy rate. You bring up the mathematics. You bring up the reading, writing, arithmetic. You do that excellently, right? Government takes notice. They're like, yo, this right here, like I want you to look into the Marva Collins story. So I mentioned Marva Collins in the Pro-Black Compendium. I want you to look into the Marva Collins story. Marva Collins builds a school, and the school does so well that eventually the president of the United States, who is a white man, people call him racist, I think it's Ronald Reagan or something like that, right? Invites her to be the Secretary of Education to teach the white and black students across the country, or to make a curriculum to. He's a quote unquote white racist, and he says, look, that right there, I want that up in power, up in administration. I want that. That's how people should look at you. You have to be of value. Look, the way how I said you got to be of value to an organization, as a member of an organization, you have to be of value to a nation. This is why you have to work in your own nation and take that risk. Take that risk and go live in your own nation. But otherwise, like I said, the black liberal. Be a black liberal. And just, do charitable works and educational works and social service works. But whatever else you think you're gonna get, you're not. Nice try though. Anyway, thank you for listening. It's been a pleasure, and Hashem Htp. Peace, family.